sun hadn't even cracked the horizon yet, and Ellie was already standing ankle-deep in freezing water, listening to 1,900 other athletes breathe nervously around him in the dark. Someone nearby was praying quietly to themselves. Someone else was laughing a little too loud at nothing in particular, and Ellie recognized both of those people, because he had been each of them at some point in the last 11 months of training. A year ago, he had stood in this exact spot and made it 800 meters into the swim before a wave of panic sent him turning back to shore, done before the day had even really started. This year, when the starting horn cracked across the water, Ellie didn't hesitate. He waded in, put his face down, and started swimming before he had time to think about it at all. The swim passed in a blur of elbows and open water and his own ragged breathing. And when his hand finally touched the boat ramp, he let himself feel exactly 10 seconds of pride before jogging toward the bikes. A volunteer shouted his race number as he ran through the transition tent, and for one strange, floating moment, Ellie forgot he was exhausted at all, buzzing instead on nothing but the sheer disbelief of having actually finished the swim this time. Sunrise caught him 20 minutes into the bike leg, gold light spilling sideways across the empty highway, and for the first time all morning, Ellie actually smiled. The course wound through 112 miles of farmland and rolling hills, and somewhere around mile 40, his legs stopped complaining and just settled into the rhythm, like they had finally accepted what the day was going to demand of them. He passed a barn with a hand-painted sign cheering on riders by name, found his own somewhere in the list, and rode the next 5 miles a little faster than he probably should have, just off the strange lift of being recognized by strangers. A headwind picked up after the halfway turnaround and refused to let go for the next 30 miles, and Lee found himself doing math he didn't want to do about how much slower this was making him. He thought about his coach's voice from months of training: rides, the bike is where you save yourself for the run, not where you prove anything. So somewhere past mile 80, he backed off, just enough. A volunteer at the last aid station on the bike course held out a cup of water without him even having to slow down, and the small, practiced kindness of it nearly undid him more than 100 miles of riding had. By early afternoon, he was off the bike and lacing up his running shoes with fingers that didn't feel entirely like his own. 26.2 miles standing between him and everything he had trained a year for. The first few miles of the run felt almost easy, deceptively so, his legs remembering how to move like this even after 5.5 hours of swimming and pedaling through the morning. He fell into an easy rhythm with a stranger running the same pace, and the two of them traded exactly 4 sentences about training and injuries and families before quietly, wordlessly agreeing to just run for a while instead of talking. The course cut through downtown for a stretch, past storefronts and a small crowd of strangers ringing cowbells, and Lee found himself grinning like an idiot at every single one of them. Somewhere around mile 15, the grinning stopped. His stomach turned on him, his legs turned heavy and foreign again, and the finish line suddenly felt like it belonged to some other, better prepared version of himself. He walked for a while through that stretch, doing the quiet math every struggling runner does, converting miles into minutes into some private negotiation with his own body about what it was and wasn't willing to give him. The sun started sinking as he crossed into the last 10 miles, painting the sky the same orange it had been a year ago. The evening, he quietly climbed into a stranger's car and quit. His legs wanted to stop. His mind had already built a dozen convincing arguments for why stopping now would be perfectly reasonable, even smart. He kept moving anyway, one aid station at a time. He walked the uphill sections and ran what he could manage, and somewhere in that exhausted, unglamorous rhythm, he realized the only thing separating him from finishing was simply refusing to stop moving forward. Around mile 20, a runner beside him mentioned, almost as an afterthought, that this was her 4th attempt at finishing this exact race, and Lee decided right then that a bad patch at mile 15 was not going to be the story of his day. By the time full darkness fell, Lee couldn't have said what mile he was on, only that the streetlights had come on and his own shadow kept stretching and shrinking under each one he passed. Then, somewhere past midnight, he heard it distant music, a loudspeaker voice calling out names one by one, string lights strung across a Finnish arch glowing warm against the dark sky. He thought, absurdly, about the plate of pasta waiting somewhere back at the hotel, about the fact that he had not slept in nearly 20 hours, and about how none of that mattered at all next to the sound of that loudspeaker getting closer. Illy picked up something that might generously be called a sprint, and the last 100 meters passed in a kind of disbelieving blur of noise and light, and his own name called over the loudspeaker. A volunteer draped a medal around his neck at the finish line, and Lee stood there in the noise and the dark, 17 hours after wading into that freezing lake, finally exactly where he had meant to be. He thought about the version of himself who had quit in this exact spot 1 year earlier, and he lifted his hand and waved not really at the crowd, just at the whole absurd, impossible day behind him. Tomorrow his legs would barely carry him down a flight of stairs, and he already knew he would sign up again next year anyway, not to prove anything a second time, but simply because he now knew exactly what a whole day of refusing to quit actually felt like.